Welcome to the Vibrant Visibility Podcast. Being visible as a soul-led business owner isn't just about the practical strategies, marketing tips, and tech systems. It's also about the internal systems, the safety of your nervous system, the somatic connection, and the embodiment of being a badass CEO that will support you in all of the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. And I'm here to share all of that with you on this show. I'm your host, Shawna Reckinger, a registered nurse turned visibility coach and business mentor for heart-centered coaches and healers. I created a six-figure coaching practice in my first year of business and scaled to multiple six figures my second year, all in the middle of getting pregnant with my first baby and becoming a new mama. If I can do this entrepreneurship thing, I know you can too. If you're ready to learn how to be a CEO in a way that feels aligned with your heart, become a lighthouse for the people that you're meant to serve, feel free to authentically express yourself and be a magnet for success, and grow your coaching business in a way that is sustainable and fulfilling, I can't wait to be in your ear along for the ride. I'm so excited that you're here, Shawna, to talk about just like you and your journey and the amazing work that you do with clients. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you into coaching. Like, I'd love to just hear your story first.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shawny. It's an honor, pleasure to be with you here. I'm so grateful.
Yay.
Yeah, I've been a nurse for 17 years. My specialties are mental health and hospice. My work has always been in the deeper layers of humanity: end-of-life doula, birth doula, yoga teacher, Reiki, and some other hands-on body works that are a bit more alternative. You know, nursing was always tough for me. I always felt like I kind of had to hide myself and protect who I am within that profession. And I always called myself an infiltrator, thinking if I could get deep enough in, I could change the thing.
Yeah.
But I realized a few years ago that I don't want to be an exec and I don't want to be in administration. And those are kind of the only ways to really have impact and change on a grander level. I've done so much of my own personal work to trust myself enough to hold space for others. And it feels so good to finally be at this place where I'm doing that, and I'm supporting others on my own terms and in ways that really do offer deep, lasting impact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that you called yourself like an infiltrator, kind of like that rebellious, oh, if we can get into the deeper layers of like what all these root problems are in the healthcare system, we can create change, and that it brought you here to this journey.
Yeah,
so tell us a little bit more about like who you help. And
yeah, now I get to do it on my own terms. Like, as a nurse, it's a wonderful profession, and I'm so grateful for all of the experiences that I've had. And I know without doubt that there are certain individuals that I've had, their lives are better off because of the presence and the depth and kindness that I've offered to their experience within mental health or hospice, right? Like,
yeah.
those realms need some pretty deep holding. And so now that translates into what I offer, but now I get to do it on my own terms. I pull from coaching modalities. I are also, depending on who I'm talking to, I'll sometimes call myself a quantum coach or a spiritual coach.
Yeah.
More energetic modalities also find their way in. And it's so wild how impactful, like, using feathers and smudge and candles and energy can be through a screen. It's wild. I also, outside of my coaching containers, I also offer one-session packages of Akashic readings, which are essentially channeling and connecting with the soul's highest wisdom to pull information down into this physical realm and, help people get clear on a relationship or past lives or any particular decision in their life and where they're at, and just sprinkle a little bit of magic on that way.
Oh, so cool. Okay. There's so much to unpack there, but then I also want to kind of talk about like in transitioning from nursing to coaching and like starting your own business that comes with all these challenges, especially when it comes to like putting yourself out there and like actually telling people, hey, this is what I'm doing now. So tell me a little bit about like what was the most challenging thing for you in transitioning from nurse to like entrepreneur, and then in terms of being more visible and talking about what you do, what were some of the challenges that you came across?
Well, figuring out what it is I actually do.
Yeah.
Was and still is. I'm still working on refining my language and knowing that who I was as a coach a year ago was very different than who I am as a coach and what I offer today. So it's a living, breathing thing that I'm constantly in conversation with around what I do and what I offer and how I speak about it. But, entrepreneurship is a steep curve. I don't come from a family of people who stepped outside of the lines. And so really paving this path on my own resolving some pretty deep ancestral patterns is a big part of it for me too.
Mm.
Choosing to step outside of the mold, choosing to do the unsafe thing. The deep work within my own life that just happened to coincide that first year of entrepreneurship, it's not beyond me. It's not coincidence.
Mhm.
Totally unrelated, but also on a grander scale, totally related. And so for me, I think the things I worked on within myself were the deepest, most challenging aspects of it. But I also know that I had to experience those things, resolve those things, do that healing work to step into this grander version of myself in order to hold the space that I do and support
Mm.
others in doing the same.
Ugh. Yeah, I wonder if we can get even more, like, specific about that. Like, what were those things that were being invited to be looked at?
Yeah. So right about when I said yes to really doing this, I had just graduated my cert and was like, okay, this is something I'm doing. This isn't just a hobby. This isn't just another cert. This feels like something bigger, grander. I'm going to really lean into this path. The universe was like, okay, put up. I had
Mm.
a really, really important friendship in my life just suddenly, drastically, painfully fall away, which brought up all sorts of stories that I don't matter and it's not safe to be me. Had to really dive deep into those, and then right after that, a couple of other really important people in my life did something that I had asked them not to that was just karmically stinging and brought up more stories about, again, I don't matter and what I need isn't important, and I can't trust the people that I thought were here to hold me. And with
Mhm.
all of these things falling away, it was just like, what's left? What are the pillars of my life here? Like, what do I have to lean on within myself that is unwavering? And
Mm.
through going into that spiral of my own existence, I came out the other side shining. I mean, it was brutal, but um,
Yeah. Those are some pretty big, like, yeah, those are some pretty big significant things to have happen, like, as kind of at the point of this change in your life where you're, transitioning into being an entrepreneur. Like, how did all of that translate into whenever you started your business? What were the kind of fears and limiting beliefs and, like, beliefs about yourself that were present as you were building your business?
yeah, my mind historically always tends to go to the why nots. So, why this won't work, why this has to be hard for me, why I'm not destined for success. Uh,
Mm.
yeah, I think that was kind of like the layer under these other stories of I don't matter, it's not safe to be me, right? And
Yeah.
as someone who's always been, I don't know, I'll call myself neurodiverse and, kind of had alternative views. I grew up in a pretty whitewashed community and,
Mhm.
nursing school and then travel nursing. I'm kind of inherently always the outsider in that capacity. I've always seen myself as like I have to kind of keep who I am guarded, shaded, toned down.
Mhm.
And through the entrepreneurial journey and through these stories that fell away, there's just kind of an emboldened, unapologetic desire to be myself,
Mm.
lovingly, right? But
Yeah.
there was also this, if I have opposition or defiance, then it's gonna cause crashing waves. And one of the really big, beautiful things I've learned is that I can have an alternative view, but it doesn't have to be rude. It doesn't have to be clashing. It can be, this is how I hold myself and this is what I believe. And
Mhm.
in curiosity of just how that plays within the matrix of, how other people carry themselves.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I love that you said that. I love that you said that there's, like, it's okay for me to have one specific belief about something even if it doesn't completely resonate with other people. What was it that allowed you to start bringing that belief in and, like, really embodying that?
Hmm. I don't know that there was a specific moment, but baby
Mhm.
steps of trying it on. And, rather than expansion, contraction, one of the things that I've been learning, courtesy of you, is
Mm.
expansion, safety check,
Yeah.
expansion, safety check, right? And so I can dip my toes in the water. And then rather than pulling back, I can put my other foot in the water and then
Mhm.
my other foot in the water. And so by kind of expanding my own capacity to hold being seen in my truth, the more expansive it becomes to share my truth in a way that is more expressed, is more embodied, is coming from the really deep truth in me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think when especially with the population of people that I work with, most of you guys are nurses, right? But, like, I mean, there's there's like this all or nothing mentality of like, if I'm not going, full on, if I'm not like on the brink of burnout, that I'm not doing enough. And so was that anything that you experienced? Was that present for you at any moment?
Yeah, in my business, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, and especially coming from travel nurse culture, right? Like
Mhm.
hustle hard, burnout.
Yeah.
I chose having this business for a multitude of reasons, but one was so that I didn't have to be in that cycle anymore.
Mhm.
And yet I found myself over and over again pushing, 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 burning myself out, getting overwhelmed, like frazzling my nervous system. And
Mhm.
there was a particular retreat that I went to at the end of October that I came out of with just a bunch of really beautiful ahas. And that was one of them, just this
Mm.
awareness that I'm doing the thing I said I wasn't going to do by
Mhm.
hustling, pushing, 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 pushing my business to be something it's not ready to be, and just hitting walls, hitting
Mhm.
frustration because I'm not being the way my business is asking me to be. If my business is
Ooh.
this beautiful, living, conscious thing that I'm co creating with, then I need to listen to it rather than try to push off a cliff.
Mhm. Oh my gosh, I love that you said that. That imagery is so beautiful because, like, whenever we first start our businesses, it's very like, I'm creating this thing. And then it almost feels like we have to control everything about it. But then as your business grows, especially as the work that you do and your niche develops and all of that starts to become more clear, it does kind of become like a partnership, right? Like your business and then you, and then how do we make it mesh together? How do we make it feel really cohesive and easeful? So like for you, was there a particular kind of breakthrough that allowed you to be like, "Okay, I'm hustling. How do I create more spaciousness for myself?" Because you've that's the word that comes up for me whenever I think about the work that we've done inside of our container is spaciousness for you. You've really leaned into this idea of creating space for yourself to have things flow a little bit more naturally instead of trying to force. So what was kind of like a big breakthrough for you is maybe even like in the first 3 months of
Mhm.
of Vibrant Visibility?
Yeah, I mean, again, my mind is returning to this retreat that I was on at the end of
Mm.
October where it's almost like this image of being like a rat in a maze and
Mhm.
there's a dead end and I'm just hitting the dead end hoping that it stops being a dead end.
Yeah.
Rather than backing up and taking a breath and having a grander perspective and seeing what the path ahead might actually be. I had a string of like 10 no's in a row.
Mm.
And as soon as I decided to take this breath and give it space and try a more expanded view, I've had a yes for every pitch that I've done since.
Mm.
Uh,
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome.
yeah, it's like when I stopped pushing it to be something it wasn't ready to be, I was able to see what it is and meet it right
Yeah.
there.
Wow. That's powerful. That is
And
powerful.
yeah, and just in honor of this concept of spaciousness, nervous system regulation has been such a deep ally for me. And, what started off as kind of some subtle shifts has turned into this like deep neurosomatic awareness where I feel empowered to not just recognize that I'm a little off or frazzled or hitting walls, but empowered to make the choice to do something about it. Like rather than pushing on through and figuring out how this post is going to be perfectly worded and wanting to flip my table over about it, I'm going to walk away and I'm going to go drink some water and I'm going to go pet my dogs and I'm going to go look at the beautiful Colorado mountains, right? And really
Mhm.
do something that is nourishing and that feels spacious so that when I return to the task at hand, it feels manageable and inspiring.
Mhm. Oh my gosh, yeah. It really highlights, like, how much control we have over like, maybe we don't have control over the initial responses, but we do have control over how we nourish ourselves to come back to that place of spaciousness, to come back to that place of like centered, grounded. This is what's coming from my heart rather than trying to force it to be something that it's not. So, yeah, I love that you kind of have like a process for how you navigate that. That's been really cool to watch.
And even more than control, choice.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
This is one of the things I work on. I mean, this is one of the tenets of my coaching container is inviting people into the remembrance and the deep knowledge that every moment is a choice.
Mhm.
Every moment is an opportunity to choose how I relate to what's in front of me, to the
Mhm.
conversation I'm about to have, to the traffic on the road, to the to-do list, to the
Yeah.
overwhelmed mind when I'm getting into bed. there's a choice in every moment. And when one can know themselves deep enough to be able to recognize it and then fine tune the ability to make the choice, the whole landscape changes.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's how I'm trying to live my life.
So good. So good. Okay. What's been your favorite aspect of like doing this work ever since we started our container back in September? Like, what has been your favorite, like maybe takeaway or insight or something that you've maybe learned about yourself or been invited to look at deeper?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we just talked about is
Mhm.
this, I tend to tell myself that I know myself quite well, but what this container has really offered me is an opportunity to, again, step back and see that picture more wholly and see where the gaps are. And,
Mhm.
this deep neurosomatic awareness has been a game changer for me. Yeah, and, the program is so there's this word that comes into so many of my conversations lately, and it's impeccable.
Mhm.
This container is impeccably designed where it starts off in kind of these more subtle realms and kind of lays a foundation, and then we get deeper and deeper and more expanded, and not just in a like woo type of way, but really in these like tangible, logistical, strategical ways of knowing the chakra system and practicing some IFS work. And, all of the little bits that are brought in from all of these different modalities make such a beautiful, like I'm seeing just like a rainbow over it all. It's just this beautiful, shiny container that really invites me to know myself in deeper ways that I didn't before and through a lens that I hadn't tried on. And it's all just the way the pieces fall into place has been just really harmonizing and coherence inducing.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think about, like, our last call, our last, like, group call where we talked about language, and I don't know, like, if I had tried doing that with you guys, if I'd tried, like, having you guys write, success stories and trying to, like, find your language as you put together your marketing for your business, that would not have landed very well at the very beginning.
No. Although it'd be kind of interesting to try that on the first session.
Yeah,
Just kind of like,
yeah, just to
here's where
see, like,
you
where we're
were.
at.
Here's where you are. Yeah,
Yeah.
that that session in particular was gold.
Mm. How has your relationship with being visible changed now? Like, just kind of going back to before we started and maybe even, like, whenever you first started your business and then comparing it to how your relationship with visibility and being seen is now. How is it different?
I mean, again, just pulling in all of these pieces, I feel so much more grounded in what it is I have to share and, what my message is and how I want to express that. Yeah, just everything is so much more fine-tuned and as am I, right? It's like I feel more clear on what I'm doing with my business, so then I can feel more clear about how I speak about what I do. And, there's been a pretty deep release of like need to be perfect. I am where I'm at and it's never going to be perfect and I'm always going to be growing and I'm always going to be learning and it's always going to be changing and shifting and who I'm talking to and what I'm talking about is always going to be evolving. And I'm in love with that. Whereas before, I
Yeah.
think I was nervous, really, really nervous about that, right? Like the
Mhm.
story that I'm going to get my wording down and then it's going to change. And then I'm going to get my
Mhm.
wording down and then it's going to change. And now rather than that being kind of a jarring point, it's inspiring and it's exciting and I enjoy leaning into it.
Yes. Yeah, it's turned into, like, this more fun, creative, kinda, like, playful energy. Earlier, we kinda talked about how, like, your business kinda becomes this entity that you have a relationship with, and it's kind of this back and forth now versus, like, this you're both, like, butting heads, and then, um so, yeah, I love that you kinda brought that imagery to it.
Yeah, it's like I'm seeing like a pot of soup where like what
Yeah.
ingredient can I add to it today to make it just even more delicious? And
Yes,
tomorrow it'll be
yes.
an ingredient.
So how has this new neurosomatic awareness for you, like, what, like, tangible things has that allowed you to do in your business? Or, like, I mean, because 'cause you've been killing it, let's just say that. So what what are some of the, like, celebrations that you have in the business that you have today that you can kind of credit to doing this work?
Yeah, I think when I came in, the whole thing was just a roller coaster and I
Mhm.
didn't feel like I had a seatbelt.
Yeah.
Now it feels like I'm driving the roller coaster and it's fun. Uh, you
Mm.
know, rather than being on this island where I'm like flailing my arms and I don't know who's gonna come help me and rescue me. It's like I'm the one with the rope, with the tugboat, with the life raft, and like there's nothing to save. It's not even that I'm like saving myself. It's just
Mhm.
there's nothing to save. It's just the ride is fun.
Mhm.
And what I think too, like I have been on a plateau where I'm and this is a story, it's not true in all cases, but I in some cases tend to be slow to grow. I find a plateau, a nice grassy area that I like, and I just hang out there and I like see what's over there, but I'm not too eager to make the leap. And I've been kind of stuck on a plateau, but also just hearing what my business is calling for, I'm feeling more ready to kind of step into the next phase of what it is I'll be offering and how that's going to look and what it can look like, and that it doesn't have to look like any given way or any formula that's been provided to me by any number of mentors or programs. There's this deep curiosity and trust in what I can create.
Mm.
And the more I listen to the consciousness of my business, the more easily these messages come in, right? The visions and the knowings and the curiosities. Whereas before it was really like formulated and structured and it has to look like this and that person looks like that. So I should try and mimic that. And I was told I should have a website by this date. So I must have a website and I should be doing workshops and all of these like shoulds, right?
Yeah.
Now it just feels really, really organic and flowing and
Mm.
resourced and regulated.
Ugh. Yes, that is the dream that we're going for here of like having a business that doesn't feel like it's being dictated by outside sources. Like it truly is your creation. It truly is a manifestation of what you have in your heart and the medicine that you want to bring to the world. I find that when we can connect with that, because that's when I see people start to really have breakthrough in their business. That's when I start to see people really like sign clients and create wait lists and those types of things that you're now experiencing. Like it's when we can connect with the core of what our business is and who we are as people and bring that to light versus trying to fabricate something from a strategy that we learned from somewhere in marketing, right?
And it's great to learn those strategies and have them
Mhm.
as tools, right? But there comes a point where there's just a threshold that I passed, and now there's a deeper knowing, right? It's like I laid
Mhm.
this beautiful foundation, and now I get to design what the structure looks like, and it's
Mhm.
phenomenal.
Yeah. What has been your biggest tangible win in your business? Like, yes, there's so much inner growth, but what's been manifesting in your business now?
Yeah, well, I have a full practice. Like I mentioned before our call, I'm actually considering opening up another day of my schedule to take on a
Yeah.
few more clients. So that's a big win. And also being at this place where I feel ready for the next phase. Like I
Mhm.
said, I like my plateau that I'm on with, X number of clients and I'm not doing this, that, or that. But now it's really feeling like I'm prepared and ready to try on the next level of what it is I offer, what this business can look like, what
Mhm.
flavors of impact I can have.
Ooh, what is that? If we were to just not set anything in stone, but kind of play a little bit here in that realm of what the next level of this looks like, what would you say that includes?
Yeah, there's a few things swirling. I've got so many workshop ideas and, it's like I get them together and then they just sit there. That's kind of one of my
Yeah.
biggest, I wouldn't say downfalls, but one of the biggest road bumps on my journey is I get energy and I get it started and then I just let it sit and simmer. Also in deep trust that when it's done simmering, it'll evolve and become. But I'm considering doing a group program.
Yeah.
It's I have X amount of clients and that feels really good, but I also have clients waiting to work with me, and the way to stretch both myself and my impact is to open it up to more people, and an efficient way to do that is to bring people together. So
Mm.
it's something that I'm considering, to be determined. Don't put me on a timeline with that, but
No timelines. No timelines. The vibe of this work is usually spaciousness. And I think that when we can state what it is we desire and like the impact that we want to have, the universe usually provides. And I see it. I see it in your future, whether it's next year or 6 months from now or tomorrow, right? Like that's kind of the fun part of this is we get to see like what unfolds.
Yeah, and I think part of what's feeding it too is this emboldened way of being that I have. Like, I don't have to hide who I am anymore. I actually, through this business, get to share who I am and these
Mhm.
parts of myself that I've kind of trained myself to turn down in
Oh,
public,
yeah.
right? Like, now those get to shine and I get to be me and I get to, resonate and allow others to identify with this way of being, with being a super sensitive human, with being empathic and psychic and intuitive and all of these other, woo magical things that I do. Like, how can I call upon these things to really support individuals collectively, right?
Yeah.
So that they can feel seen and safe being themselves in these ways too.
Yes, yes. I see how this is impacting like your business, your ability to be present and visible and like step into leadership there, but like I'm curious to know how it's impacted other areas of your life too, like doing this deep work and really finding yourself in all of this and being able to like actually express yourself. Like what other areas of your life have kind of thrived from doing this?
Yeah, my relationship is a primary one.
Mhm.
Absolutely. My willingness and ability to lean in to the nooks and crevices of being in relationship with another human, to feel safe to be all of me, to be seen. And my partner really needs me in that space too. So
Yeah.
that's another element that makes it really supportive. But also just in the way I show up, in my community. I recently moved here to Boulder, Colorado, and really put kind of a stake in the ground that I'm going to be this newest, greatest version of myself when I get here. And, I'm meeting all of these wonderful new people. I mean, I have my community here that I've been visiting for years and years, but
Mhm.
all of the new faces and all of the new people, I get to be who I am now, not who I was, not the version of myself that hides parts of myself, right? So I get to practice this every day with every interaction I have. And,
Mhm.
even just I have some in person offerings. I have a singing bowl collection and I do sound baths and I also do craniosacral therapy,
Mhm.
which is a super light touch massage. It's like the opposite of deep tissue massage. It's
Mhm.
speaking with the body and working with the fascial system, the web that runs through all of that essentially holds our body in place. And rather than kind of like meekly suggesting that I might have something to offer that might be valuable, I'm like, hey, this is what I do. I'd really love to share this with you.
Mhm.
To women that I'm meeting at yoga, this is how I talk about what I do. To friends that I have, I was invited to a girlfriend of mine was hosting a healing circle for another woman, and she invited me to come with my singing bowls. And
Yeah.
that rather than like, oh, I hope people are gonna like this, and is this effective? I was like, yeah, I'll be there. Thank you so much for
Love it.
inviting me into a space to share a healing gift with another individual. It's like there's no question in my mind that what I have to offer is valuable.
Mhm. Yeah, it's like all of those opportunities really started to open up as soon as you did, right? As soon as you did, and I always love thinking it's like divine timing that you were in the process of this move, I think right when we started the container, right? Right when we started Vibrant Visibility?
I had applied, in the days of my move.
Oh, yes,
To
that's
talk about
right.
spaciousness, right? I
That
had
is
set
so
myself up to
right.
have the time to apply. I moved at the beginning of August, so
Oh, yeah, yeah, perfect timing, and so, like, just the synchronicities between, like, what we've been uncovering in this container and then, like, the manifestations of what's happening in your life, the connections that you're finding in your community, the ability that you have to, like, talk about what you do so confidently, it's been so beautiful to watch. Um yeah, any like last minute wrap up like insights, takeaways from doing this visibility work that you want to share? If you were to be talking to somebody who's kind of on the fence about diving in to something like this, whether it's vibrant visibility or anything else related to like that deep nervous system work to help yourself feel safe to be seen, what would you tell them?
Hmm. Yeah, Shawnee, I'll just speak directly to you and just tell you that you're a true master.
Mm.
It's an honor to be in your bubble and under your wing and to have this opportunity to learn and grow within this vibrant visibility container. It's more than I ever hoped it would be. And I hope that shines through in this conversation of just how much I've grown in the arc of this. What are we,
Yeah.
4 months into it now? And got a couple to go. It's like wow, if we stop now, if it was over now, I would be so satisfied and so grateful. And to know that we have more sessions and more time together, I'm so excited for what else is possible as we continue to work together and deepen, and all that's possible for me to learn about myself because of what you offer, which is because of what you know about yourself. And it's so apparent that you've done immense work on yourself to get to this point too. And I'm just so grateful. And so to anyone who's considering the Vibrant Visibility container, if there's any nudge, if there's any spark, I 100% am here to push you over that edge into the container. Like I said, it starts with this just kind of like subtle laying of a foundation, and then it just becomes this deep, impactful thing that pulls from so many different realms. And, it's not just learning about self, but it's also learning about these different modalities and different ways of relating to the world and different ways of relating to self. And then there's, actual strategy included too, and wisdom and the lessons, right? It's not just a coaching container. It really truly is a educational experience that for me is very likely going to be one of the pillars of what it is that I'm building. And I imagine I'll look back on this 2 years, 10 years from now and, just be so grateful and so in awe of the experience.
Oh my gosh. I am receiving that. Thank you. Thank you for those words. And it makes me so excited for you because I don't know if I don't know if I actually like physically announced whenever you won the giveaway spot last year, but you won my giveaway spot. Like,
Yeah.
you're in this container on a full ride, but like it really does. I think the results that you have in your business and just like the way that you've grown in the last few months that we've been working together so far is just like a true testament to your commitment to the work. And it's also like kind of a message for people who are kind of on the fence of like, you do the work whenever you're ready. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. Right. And that can be translated into so many different areas. And like, it was so clear how ready, how like fully ready you were. I'm so excited for you. I'm so
Yeah,
proud of you.
I felt that. Thank you. Yeah. And I felt, as soon as the opportunity to win a free spot came, I was like, that's mine. I've got this. Like, I just knew. I just knew. And then we sent out the email saying there was like 40 applications. And I was like, okay, I still think I know. Yeah, there was just a spark. I was ready. So thank you
Yeah.
for seeing that and hearing that and receiving that and leaning in.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. Well, I want to kind of wrap things up here and like give people an opportunity to be able to find you and connect with you if they've listened to our conversation and feel drawn to you. Like, where can people find you? What do you have to offer?
Yeah, yeah, my website is my name, shawnareckinger.com. Will you link that or should I
Yeah,
spell
I'll
it?
put all of that in the
Okay.
comments of this live, in the show notes, if this was repurposed for the podcast. Yeah, everywhere.
Okay, so yeah, shawnareckinger.com. I've got my alchemy session there, which is the free call to just get to know one another and see if what I have resonates with what someone is working on. I have a couple of the Akashic Record 60-minute, 90-minute options there as well. If anyone's interested or curious about those, they can always reach out and get more information. Facebook, Shawna of the Earth with a space between Shawna and of, and Instagram, all one word, Shawna of the Earth.
Love it. All of that will be linked in the comments and the show notes, wherever we're going to put this interview. Oh, thank you so much, Shawna, for sharing your journey, for just like, being here and letting your magic shine. I so enjoy supporting you in this space. Like, it is just such an honor. Anything else? Anything else that you want to like leave people with here today before we wrap up?
I'm just really grateful. Thank you for seeing me, for inviting me to step deeper into all that I'm becoming. Again, you are just, it's phenomenal to work with you. It's such an honor, such a blessing. I could just gush and gush and gush.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you for being here. For those of you who loved this conversation, Vibrant Visibility doors are currently open and they are closing on February 10th. So I'll also link the application for that down below, wherever we are. And I hope you all have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day. Thank you so much, Shawna, for spending some time with me.
Thank you, Shani.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. If this was helpful for you, subscribe to the show to make sure you're always in the loop when a new episode is out. And I would love to invite you to join me in the free Visibility and Tech Support for Coaches community, where we hang out and chat about all things visibility, tech, systems, and heart-centered business building. I regularly share tips and tutorials and go live every now and then, and it's just nice to be in a community with other like-minded coaches and healers. So you can join this free space at alignwellco.com/community, and I can't wait to see you there.